Hello, are you my peer? This time, I'm going to play Final Fight again after a long time, and for the first time, I'll be playing with some restrictions. The condition is simple, I won't pick up any health items. The character I chose this time is Guy. Since he's the first character on the select screen, many people might think he's the main character, but actually, he's the one with the least connection to Jessica, the person we're supposed to rescue. The character himself is a speed type, and among the new characters, he's the easiest to dodge with, but in this game, dodging alone can't solve everything. Just like you saw, using the wall kick greatly increases your damage, but since you can only use it where there are walls, depending on the stage, you might not be able to use it. Dodging is the most common technique in this game. Since the basic attack can hit up to 5 times, you hit 3 times, dodge in the opposite direction for the 4th, and then hit again. With so many hits, it's easy to confirm if you landed them, making dodging the easiest among all characters. However, due to speed type characters' limitations, the damage is low, so fighting high health opponents can feel like training in the room of spirit and time. It takes forever. Still, since stage 1 is short and easy, Gahi's weaknesses aren't very noticeable. This boss is actually perfect as a punching bag for practicing dodging. If it's hard to react by sight, you can also listen to the sound of the 3 hits and sway left and right like you're playing a rhythm game. If it were other characters, I'd have taken it down faster. This is stage 2 where the difficulty suddenly increases. Personally, the most annoying poison starts to appear. She flies around alone, trying to get behind your character and uses frustrating tactics like jump attacks, which you don't even see in other games. As far as I know, Poison's official gender was female, but when the game was released in North America due to the culture of not hitting women, she was labeled as male and said to be transgender, but after looking into it more, it turns out all of that was just a rumor. But Capcom was a bit careless, because surprisingly there were a lot of games that featured the character Poison. First of all, in the initial character design settings, she was described as a new half, and in the Super Famicom manual, her gender was listed as neutral and the pronoun they was used. This is a bit of a different story, but in the North American Super Nintendo version, the character was changed to male, but since they only slightly modified the outfit, the gender still looked ambiguous. But in the Mighty version, Poison is set as a woman, and it's said that she has neutral siblings, which is why she's mistaken for a man. I don't know what siblings have to do with gender, but that's what they say. In SBC, she's also called a woman, but in another game, she's a man and even has a younger sister named Kiss. Capcom producer Yoshinori Ono said Poison had gender reassignment surgery in North America and was a cross-dresser in Japan. A few years later, Capcom changed its stance, stating there has never been and will never be an official answer. For reference, at the end of this stage, if you just get on top of the barrel and wait out the time, you can clear it safely. But I think viewers don't want to see that kind of thing, so whenever I play Final Fight, I do the opposite and make it funny. Thank you for watching. When I run into these enemies with a lot of health, it takes way too long. To wrap up the talk about Poison, the most recent series she appeared in is Street Fighter V. Here, there's a feature that shows the character's specs on certain stages. I deleted Street Fighter V, so I couldn't check it myself, but according to my research, it says she's female here. I spent about 2 minutes just talking about Poison. Getting back to talking about Shigawi, honestly, except for his speed, he's basically useless, a so-called fast piece of trash. Along with the weak power I mentioned at the beginning, his basic punch reach is also the shortest. Also, the number of attacks, which was an advantage in dodging, doesn't really become a big advantage in actual gameplay. The hit detection itself is trash, and in this kind of game, chaotic fights happen often, right? When a chaotic fight breaks out, both Cody and Hager can use throws, but Bass can only use a throw after 4 hits, so he can't even throw quickly when he wants to. This is the stage 2 boss commotion. If they're holding a weapon, the difficulty drops, so you need to make them drop their weapon quickly. Gaia's specialized weapon is the Japanese sword, which offers a wider attack range than other characters. I picked it up to cover Basu's poor performance, but the swinging speed is so slow that you can end up getting hit together like this. Even when using his specialty, the Japanese sword, it's still tough like this. I could use Barigari, but it would take too long and neither of us would enjoy it. This is a bonus stage, but without a result, I'll speed it up. Stage 3 is lively. From now on, Japanese swords will show up more often than expected. Because this weapon can quickly defeat enemies, be careful not to get hit or lose it after picking it up. If you try to clear the stage bare-handed to show off, we'll be the ones blown up, posse. That's because enemies appear from both sides. As I said before, this character is vulnerable in chaotic fights, so unless you group enemies to one side, going for a one-coin play is risky. Other characters. Still, if you try punching with your bare fists, sometimes you can hit first, even if Andre charges at you, but with Guy you lose too often, so it's easier to just beat them with a weapon. Also, it feels like this is much faster for weaving in and out. This is just my opinion, and you may be right if you disagree. Here you can also get each character's weapon again, so even if you lost your weapon earlier, you can pick up a new one here, and there are health items too, and from this point on you should start remembering certain sections, because there are enemies that come running from places you can't see. The damage is unexpectedly high and happens too quickly to react. What I was trying to warn about was the big red guy behind me, but while thinking about what's behind, I got hit by Andre. A pipe isn't Scissor's specialty, but it's better than using bare hands. I used the pipe since I was in a hurry, but I should also use the ribbon. After finishing off the big guys, next I'll take on two Andre who are like mid-bosses. Solo, phase 2. 2 players, phase 3. You're forced to drop your weapon and move on, but there are plenty of weapons scattered around the ring. If you herd them to one side, grab a weapon and attack as soon as it starts, it's easy. Since the space is closed, you can't get knocked far, so it ends quickly. Just keep attacking and you'll finish fast. Now, if you just take care of a few small fry and move forward, you'll quickly reach the area where the boss appears. If it suddenly charges at you, just remember your friends and dodge it with a light jump. You can still face the boss, even without defeating the small fry. The boss has different phases depending on its health gauge, just like in modern games. It's hard to say exactly how much health it has, but when its health turns yellow, it starts firing its gun rapidly. Thanks to that, it's actually easier to deal with the boss before that point than you might think. Another drawback of the scissors just showed up. The invincibility window after throwing this magnet is way too short. While other characters can use the invincibility after a throw to create a chance to escape danger, the scissors can get hit before they even have a chance to move. Lastly, if you pick up the gum dropped by the boss when your health is full, it really helps your score. The score 42,910 is developer Nistan's tribute to Akira's September 10 Showa 42 birthday. Stage 4 isn't as long as you might think. The fire that comes up in the first section is pretty tricky, but if you only move left and right without moving up and down from the starting position, you won't get hit by the fire. Enemies can also get hit by the fire, so using your fists instead of the scissors might be a better idea. That's why I was fighting in the spot where the fire is on purpose. If you wait just a little, the enemies will slowly come out. Even the enemies that appeared at the very beginning have a lot more health now. But with such a short attack range, even if the graphics touch, you still can't hit them. The scissors look sad, but Jakku quietly took the blow. Actually, it's the same for any character, but if possible, you should keep the enemies on one side, and scissors are almost essential. You can't hit the enemy in front of you and get hit yourself. How can you fight while watching both sides? Now it seems like only Anger is left, so I tried kiting, but as you can see, it's really slow and frustrating. I learned it as F4 Ma, but I wonder if it's because the scissors are too light. I checked the profile. It listed 179 centimeters and 72 kiwi. If you're lucky, you can get a Japanese sword in this section. Once you get the Japanese sword, getting to this section becomes pretty easy. That's because you can just swing your weapon at the enemies in front of you like this, and easily push them all the way to the end of the wall. Of course, poison runs around like crazy, but even so, in front of the Japanese sword, they're nothing. You can just push them all the way to the end of the map with ease. Now, enemies won't appear from the right anymore, and they'll start sneaking in from the left, right? Sometimes you'll see guys throwing Molotov cocktails, but as long as you watch out for them, there's nothing else too difficult here. Once you finish this part, you'll move on to the section where you meet the boss. You start going up on the lift, and at the end, you'll meet the boss. The boss rides up on a cable and throws grenades from time to time to keep you in check, but for some Jumuk guy, it's actually pretty good support fire. The boss will keep using this kind of attack, right? And if you keep fighting a bit more, you'll get a weapon supply. This boss, Lorento, fights with various weapons. Maybe the boss gives you these weapons to suggest a fair fight, or maybe that's just what I thought. Of course, since I'm Guy, I pick up the katana. Even if it looks dangerous, because my health is below half, I can fight safely by using the long reach of the weapon. As the lift comes up, the boss, Lorento, appears. Ideally, you should take care of the assistants before the lift comes up and create a one-on-one situation with Lorento. But since I'm so weak, that's not as easy as it sounds. And actually, if you just keep dodging back and forth, you can take down Lorento pretty easily. But you don't want to see me just boringly punch him with regular attacks, right? Especially while Lorento is using his final pattern. He only throws grenades and doesn't use other attacks, so you just need to use grab attacks. Just dodge the grenades as best as you can, and if you stay close to him, you'll be able to grab him easily. It's harder to catch him than you think, but it's safe, so just keep watching. This bonus stage requires aligning with the Y-axis, but just keep catching them. Stage 5 takes place on a promenade where you can see the bar from start to finish, and the entire long section is connected as one. No matter if the enemies come from the left or right, if you don't boldly keep moving forward, you'll end up experiencing a time over in this crazy stage. You can quickly get a weapon. Once you get a weapon, the game might seem a bit easier, but if you actually try it, the surprisingly slow weapon response will really get on your nerves. First, you'll hit your first lock here. If you quickly take care of the tough guys as friends, you'll get through it soon. There aren't that many enemies, and since you're just swinging your sword, it gets a bit boring, so you'll keep getting this part. If you lost your weapon earlier, you can get it again here. Move forward a bit and you'll hit another lock, and Andre will ambush you. Just be careful of the exploding barrels here and there, and keep swinging your sword, and you'll get through this section in no time. Although Guy was introduced as having the advantage of speed, the enemies that appear this time are much faster than Guy, so you'll have to take them down one by one as you move forward. Of course, if you're lucky, you'll get a chance to take care of them in a corner, along with Poison's gang like this. Since you'll have to fight these guys again at the end anyway, you shouldn't miss out on this big chance. Graffiti looks the same in Korea and the United States, and I always feel this way at this point. But I wonder if there are still people these days who do graffiti like that. Since there are so many surveillance cameras these days, I think it would be difficult. If you've made it this far, you can say you're almost at the boss. All that's left is some simple slashing, so just keep going. As long as you handle the knife wielders well, where the last mob appears, you'll be fine. Knives are flying from both sides as they slide and dart around. Pure chaos. If the scissors had this kind of speed, their hand punches would be acceptable, but each hit from these guys is also much stronger than the scissors. Since they throw knives and perform tricks so quickly, they keep moving up and down to prepare for attacks from places they can't see. Of course, if they come at you so openly like this, you can just slice them up like this. After you take care of these guys, getting to the boss becomes much easier. It creates a scene similar to the Pied Piper, but since you can take them down quickly, there's nothing to worry about. Soon the boss Abigail will come rushing out. With the subtitle weapon equipped, this boss is easy to defeat. Without the weapon, winning is tough both head-on and diagonally. To fight unarmed, wait for Abigail to descend vertically. If you have a weapon, wait for him to charge and then strike. On this stage, you can really feel that Sodom is much easier. The hitbox is larger than you'd expect when he charges. Facing Abigail and his minions unarmed would be really tough, right? We've finally arrived at the last stage, the downtown area. From the very start, enemies keep coming at you non-stop until you meet the boss. Since there are so many enemies, it's best to intentionally herd them to one side as you play. Thank you for watching. In this section, I decided to send the enemies to the left. Claire doesn't look at the screen either way, I think. I was doing a normal attack but got hit in the middle. What a trash character. Still, I like the sound of people crashing and falling while playing this kind of game. Once you've herded them to one side, you can handle them easily. After you take down the last Lee, you can take the elevator and enter the rooftop garden area. You need to know that as soon as you start, the ball guys will rush at you. If you knock them down and keep moving forward, Andre will greet you. But when you arrive, you don't have to defeat both Andres. If you just throw it roughly to the left and move forward, they'll disappear. And in these locked areas, if you deal with the weaker guys instead of Andre, you can move forward. If you also herd the enemies to one side like this, it shouldn't be too dangerous. The signal to move forward comes before you grab them, so just proceed. Excel and Slash often appear in large numbers, but you can fight them directly instead of sending them left. Because, well, enemies don't come from the left up to this section. Even though the video shows the 1 minute mark, unfortunately, once you pass this section, you'll automatically drop your weapon. The reason I'm telling you this is because it's the end of the rooftop section. This is the section where you can really feel the difficulty of Devil's regime. Oh, Yujin and the knife wielders come flying at you, and even the guys who seemed like nothing before start stepping up and aiming for your back. Since the enemies mostly appear from the right side, if you intentionally move to the left, you'll end up making things harder for yourself. Of course, this is because there are even scarier guys coming up behind, so I had no choice but to throw myself to the left. Here, under the chandelier, the bald guys suddenly charge at you. Don't stop and fight here. No matter what, just keep moving forward. This way you can skip Andrain, who just appeared. If your goal isn't squaring, there's no need to deal with them. 3 chandeliers will fall, and a fat guy will charge at you from the front. If you can't dodge the chandeliers, you'll just have to take the hit. It's easier if you start by throwing the enemies on the right to the left. I thought I'd sent away the one that hit me, but I hadn't. So many show up like this, how could I remember how many and when? If you roughly clear them out, the lock will be released and you can go to the end. When moving, you have to stick to the bottom to avoid ambushes. Try to send the enemies to the left as much as possible while advancing. That's because I'm planning to use wall jumping at the end of this section. This is the scissor kick technique that boosts the otherwise trash power of the scissors. It's locked, and you can't step on just any wall. You can only tell it's a wall if it really looks like one. The jump attack actually has pretty good hit detection, so it really helps a lot in quickly taking down these guys. For reference, just using the kick might not hit, so use both the elbow and the kick. If you use both, you won't land completely defenseless. You don't need any special technique, just input the command. I went back and forth on the wall a few times, and the weak ones are already gone. This is an area where you can really feel the limits of the scissors performance, especially with the boss present. Of course, if you bring a weapon, it's a different story. You'd need incredible physical skills to get through here barehanded, right? Some said eating a hammer in this game makes you stronger, but that's false. Hardcore players clarified this in the comments. If that were possible, I wouldn't need to carry a katana. Thank you for watching. After unlocking, move down and quickly attack the pillar as enemies hide behind it to ambush you. Another reason this section is difficult is that the pillar blocks your view of the enemies. That's why using short-reach bare-handed scissors can get you knocked out instantly. And as I mentioned earlier, since the weapon swing speed is slow, if you find yourself within the enemy's attack range and realize it, use a forward jump attack to knock them down. It's risky, but success is rewarding, and failure still offers a last chance. Of course, this is just my own way of playing. People who are better than me can probably handle it more skillfully. After finishing the last genre and moving forward, 2 chandeliers will fall, a filming item will appear, but I don't pick it up. Weapon attacks don't affect the boss in the wheelchair. Thanks for watching. If you attack with a weapon, Jessica gets hit instead. To fight with a weapon, you must grab and drop it. Now all that's left is to be cut down by the Japanese slave guy. I want to somehow send the boss to the left so he doesn't go out the window, but it seems like the system made this impossible. Even if I attack to intentionally send him to the left, he just breaks through the glass on his own. I cleared it with scissors, never dying or using any final fight food. Clearing the game is fun, but adding self-imposed restrictions makes it truly rewarding. That's all for now. This was Dolly. If you liked the video, subscribe, like, and comment to help me upload faster.